there, it's Joanne here from Golden DNA Healing, and today I want to touch on an interesting subject that I see a lot in my clinic. As I've said, I've had 30 years in the health and healing profession, seen thousands of people over the years, witnessed some amazing miracle stories, and feel very privileged to have been part of so many people's lives. And I want to talk about what we call multi-level healing or layers, multi-layers, because there is this belief that getting better is simple as just a quick fix. And that doesn't actually work, especially in today's world, where everything is so complex, where our issues, where our pain is so complex. In the last video, I spoke about how our pain reflects the unresolved emotions in our bodies. And this multi-layered approach is part of that. When someone comes to see me, they may not be aware of it, but their back pain, for example, or wherever else they're feeling the pain or the anxiety, sometimes people just come for anxiety or depression or not feeling good, is part of a symptom of something far greater that goes back a long way and perhaps has many layers, in that it doesn't have only one cause. It can have many causes coming together to make this complex issue that's going on. And I believe that is true of many chronic illnesses. That's for another video. So for now, I want to say that the multi-layered approach is very much like peeling the onion away from the body and I was going to say the soul, and yet to explain simply is the energy field. And just to give you two examples from my clinic, when I see people, I'm able to work quite intuitively, which is why I call the Bowen therapy that I use as my basis, I call it intuitive Bowen. Because when I put my hands on someone, I'm often able to pick up information from the tissues, get words in my head, and get guided to where the problem is. So one man I saw recently, he came and said that suddenly his back pain had got really bad and there was no reason. We couldn't find a story. I asked him what was going on in his life, what was going on in the last 6 months, year or so, and everything seemed quite calm. The thing is also in healing is something can get triggered, and it's that word trigger that is so important, because it can suddenly flash up within our body and energy field a whole lot of symptoms and issues that have been buried deep. And when I worked on his body and touched his body and the area that was painful, it flashed up in my mind that it all started around about the age of 5, and I picked up a lot of anger and rage, and I wasn't sure if it was his or someone around. And he told me afterwards that it was correct, and his father started beating his mother at that age, and he saw it all. And that obviously went into his body because he was too young to express himself, and there was terrible fear. And we were able to, over a period of weeks and months, he was able to talk about what happened. He was able to release it by talking, and I was able to help to release the trauma and stress from the tissues. And that took time, but it sure was worth it, because towards the end of the treatment, the back pain had receded, almost gone, and so far it has never come back. And that is a multi-layered approach of needing to go deeper than just a simple pain or back pain or simple story. Another lady I saw, she had an issue with her foot, where the foot just wouldn't move properly. Every time she walked, it seemed to drag. And she obviously had been to doctors and had many scans, And they couldn't really find a reason except for some muscles that were tight, probably from not walking properly. They were puzzled. And one day I said to her, let's talk about your childhood. Let's talk about something to try and get to the cause of it. Because before, when she had spoken, she said, no, everything was fine. I had a happy time. And then she started talking, and this time she was able to share that everything wasn't fine, that her mother had lost a child when my client was very young, and that had traumatized the parents, obviously. And because of that, they overprotected her and they suffocated her, and they wouldn't let her go outside without them. And when she became a preteen and a teenager and she wanted to go out with friends, they wouldn't allow that. And so she became suffocated. And she said, I felt trapped all the time. And when she first came to see me and told me about this issue with the foot, she kept on saying to me, I feel trapped because I can't walk properly, I can't run, I can't walk miles with my friends. I feel so trapped. I feel so trapped in my home. And so when she told me about what happened as a little girl, she used the same words. And I'm not saying it's easy to suddenly everything's fine and she can walk again. It's taken a long time, quite a few months, but she has definitely improved. And that is what I mean about the multi-layered approach. Nothing is that simple. We often have to dig deep into ourselves. We often have to face issues that are painful. It takes a lot of courage, but by doing that, we are able to then move forward. So I hope that's been helpful, and maybe you can sometimes reflect on how you are, how your health is, what's happening in your bodies, and go back and think, does that relate to anything in my life, past, present? It's always a really very interesting question. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for listening.